It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your humble curator, Nicholas.
And I am your final girl, Natasha. If you want more from us, check out our links in the descriptions below. We also have a Patreon, thanks to our members who have already joined. As a member, you get voting power for a movie choice, like this one we'll be going over today, as well as the first look at our movie lineup. As always, don't forget to spread the love by rating and reviewing on Spotify or wherever you listen. Your support means a lot. On this week's episode, we will be going over 2008's Lake Mungo. This is an Australian psychological horror film written and directed by Joel Anderson. It's presented as a pseudo-documentary with elements of found footage and docu-fiction. This follows a family trying to come to terms with the loss of their daughter, Alice, after she drowns and the potential supernatural events that are experienced afterwards.
So coming into this week's homework, this was a Patreon voted on episode, so thank you. This is also our fourth and final episode for Foreign Film February before we go into the treacherous waters that is No Nick Pick March.
Woo! I'm so excited.
So on our Patreon, there were a handful of films that they got to vote from, and this is what they chose. What is your history? What were your thoughts going into this film, if you'd ever seen it or not?
I have never seen it. I didn't really have much to go off of. I knew it was going to be a slow burn. I think that was all that that's all that I had known about it, was going to be a slow burn, and it was supposed to be great.
Okay. And my history with it is I saw this on Netflix back when Netflix had awesome horror films. So this would have been right around 2009, 2010. And I remember I vividly remember watching this for the first time. It was raining outside. It was super gray. And that is like my feeling of this movie. Like every single time I've watched it since, I just am like, even if it's not raining out, it feels like it should be raining out. And it does rain in this film, but like all of that, it's just like, it has a very cold, wet feeling to me. So that's my history going in, and coming out of this, nothing has changed. It is still a very cold, wet feeling film, even though it's snowing here. Snow's wet. So what was your feeling coming out of this movie?
I'm sorry. Bored.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't have much of a feeling other than, okay, I watched it. Hands up in the air.
All right. That's interesting, because I was very interested to see your take on this film, specifically because director Jordan Peele has stated in a podcast with Kiki Palmer that Lake Mungo is one of the movies that scared him the most. And and also filmmaker Mike Flanagan, in his review on Letterboxd, praised the film for being exceptional, terrifying, and ultimately heartbreaking. The movie will stick with you, and the more you think about its lonely, tragic implications, the more it will haunt you.
I wish I got that.
So you boys, that's what they're saying. No, that's fine. To each their own. But I found it really interesting that doing like research and stuff, it's like, oh my God, Tasha's like Mount Rushmore of directors. Now, if only like, I don't know, Ari Aster and I don't know who else. Yeah. Like if only they would have said something, and just like, you would have just been like, I'm so wrong. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That's kind of how I feel right now. Like those are two of my three, and like I clearly missed something.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a mood piece. Like, yeah, it's a pseudo documentary and all this stuff, and what do they call it? Like something fiction, like
docu-fiction.
Docu-fiction. And I really like that kind of stuff where it just feels really real. And like, obviously I know that it's fake, but giving yourself into it, you know, just being like, this is real. definitely does it a huge service, and also watching it in the dark does it a huge service because it is a dark film, and with having like ambient lighting in your room and stuff, you miss a lot in the background and stuff like that. It's one of those films for sure, specifically because it is shot on film and video, so like videotape. So like when it needs to be videotape, that's what it is, and it's real grainy and all that stuff, and it's a lot of that kind of stuff that I really like about this movie.
And I agree with you. I loved the true crime document. I thought that was done so well. But just the story that was embedded within the style, it just left me wanting more. But I really liked the interview aspect. We had watched a movie previously where that was the part of it that lost me. It wasn't done well. Hell House LLC. That sounds right. That part wasn't done well, but I was able to fall into the found footage component of it. With this one, I was able to fall into both sides of it, especially with it being a foreign film, being from Australia. I think that helped too, to where it didn't seem like they were acting. It seemed like you were watching a story from another country. Well,
and what's really cool is like we've covered Paranormal Activity in the past where I threw shade at it for like not really having a script. This movie barely had a script either. There were plot points and everything. It's like, this is what's going to happen in this scene. All of the dialogue is ad-libbed in this movie, which it blows my mind because that makes the actors in this film like 10 times better in my book. Because I didn't know that until doing research. And I was just like, holy shit, this feels real. And it's like these people, granted, they probably did multiple takes and stuff like that. But the takes that they took and put into the film, it's like, this feels like a Netflix, documentary of like what happened at Lake Mungo. It definitely feels like that. And for this to have come out in 2008 is wild in my like opinion. But so this is from Australia. Director Joel Anderson is a very hard person to find on the internet. He has a lack of online presence and a refusal to give interviews. Because of this, he has evolved, perhaps unintentionally, into one of the most enigmatic directors in the genre. More than a few online sleuths have sought to learn what happened to this promising young talent, but with even the Lake Mungo colleagues refusing to elaborate on his whereabouts, there's a chance we may never know. It's a strange fate, but one that contributes to his debut's popularity, as with other cult horror films like Begotten and Cannibal Holocaust. Lake Mungo feels like an artifact unearthed from a lost civilization, coated in intrigue, veiled in mystery. How fitting that its director should have followed a similar path. So this is his only movie. He wrote and directed this. He had a script for like a bigger budgeted film and just couldn't get funding. And he was like, how can I make a movie that can get funded? And this is the film that he came up with and shot. And then basically up until I think it was last year was like nowhere, gone. And last year he returned, but only in a producer role for Late Night with the Devil that came out, which kind of has a found footagey feel to it and everything. It's kind of like this recovered tapes from a late night show in the 70s and the shit that fucking happened on that set.
Okay.
So it kind of has that similar feel. It doesn't, I wouldn't say it has the similar feel, but like it's like that pedigree, I guess is the way to look at it, So in 2008, like I said, he had an easier time getting funding for this film than whatever big thing that he was planning on doing. Okay. What do you think its budget was?
I'm trying to think of like other found footage films and how small their budgets were. So this, I'm going to say, was like $800,000.
A little more. It was $1.7 million. So it's definitely like for the era and everything, it's definitely on the more expensive side. Like when you think of things like Paranormal Activity or The Blair Witch Project, but those two movies are most wildly known because of how small their budgets were. Right. So this one though, like you can tell that there's a lot more there's a lot more going on behind the cameras and in the editing bay and stuff than those films, because those are literally just set up a camera and it goes. This is built as a full documentary. So,
That's true.
you know, like it definitely has a lot more going on in that department. Now, this did not get a massive release, but we do have a box office. What do you think this Australian film brought in?
Was it released worldwide?
That I'm not certain of. I do know that it's like world, quote unquote. Well, it's at least it's American release. Was in like it was like 4 films after dark or something. It was part of like back during that era. Let me see if I can find my copy's out there. Back during this era, there were a lot of interesting like Dimension Extreme and stuff like that would like get foreign films and bring them out, and then they'd have like this subheading, you know, Dimension Extreme, like on the cover, or After Dark, or whatever films to see before you die. So it would drag you in, and most of them were foreign, if I remember correctly. Like HBO also did like Masters of Horror at around this time and stuff, and it just had that kind of thing. And that's how this film came out when I found it. When I found my DVD copy, rather, was through one of those kind of like imprints or whatever.
Gotcha.
But that was the only time that I'd actually seen anything about it in physical form. I just came upon it on Netflix. So I don't know if that, like, if it did like a small release and then just got thrown to Netflix quickly. I don't know.
Okay. I think it brought in like 4 million box office.
It brought in $29,850.
Okay. It's like 29 million. What?
Yes, and I'd never heard of this film. Yeah, it didn't do well, but like I can understand, like this is definitely I would say like a take it or leave it kind of film in some people's books. This is not like, if you're looking for shocks and you know all this stuff, you're not going to get it. Something that I found interesting though, and I'm not the only person, I did see this when doing some research, is that it kind of has a feel of like Twin Peaks, which R.I.P. David Lynch.
Yeah.
But there are some interesting like narrative beats that are similar that we'll get to in spoiler territory. But then also the fact that the family's last name is Palmer, which Laura Palmer is the main like mystery character in Twin Peaks, and it just like it deals with like body washing ashore. Like it's very like it's not the same story, but like I would be very interested. Granted, he doesn't do interviews, so he's not telling anybody anything, but I'd be very interested if this was like his, like, you know, I'm gonna make my own Twin Peaks with blackjack and hookers. I mean, Twin Peaks kind of has blackjack and hookers. I mean, not kind of, it totally does, but like it without blackjack and hookers.
There you go.
But adding kangaroos. So I'm sorry if that's culturally insensitive.
I really missed something if this movie had blackjack and hookers. I did not see that.
No, I did not. But so to give you kind of a taste of what horror was during this time, it was kind of shitty in my book. We've got, let's see here, I'll just run through some of them. The number 1 film for that year was Saw 5 for horror. Okay. Prom Night remake, Quarantine, which was a remake of Record, The Eye, which is a remake of a Japanese horror film, Mirrors, One Missed Call, which Takashi Miike was the originator. This was the American remake. Shudder, which is a remake. So like nonstop remake. So it's probably has a lot to do with what the temperature was, and then coming across this back then that a lot of people will speak highly of it, or for me being like, oh man, I remember this being great, because that's what we were getting at the time. So anytime you get something that's a little fresh, a little different, it sticks in your crawl a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, so say, you know, this movie's been out now for, God, we're pushing 20 years. We're getting there, right? So America can't leave well enough. So Natasha and I have been tasked with producing the Pot of the Dead version of Lake Mungo. would you like to start with your dream production?
I mean, I will.
Okay.
I went in a completely different direction, and some people will probably hate this, and you know what? I'm fine with that. So I just watched a Will Ferrell movie surrounding a lake, and we're going to go in that direction. So I have the dad, Russell, being played by Will Ferrell.
Oh my God.
This is completely out of left field, and it's not going to be the same movie. I don't even know if the plot will be the same, and that's okay.
You just have the rights to the film, and you're just like, fuck, I'm going to do what I want.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be at a lake, and that might be the only thing that's the same. The mom will be played by Maya Rudolph.
Oh my God, this is just an SNL fucking movie. Is Lauren Michaels the producer?
No, but I will. Okay, we're just going to keep going. Alice will be played by Lily Collins. So she's not on SNL. Thank you very much.
Sorry. What's she from?
She is from... Oh, you asked me too quickly.
What is she from?
Thank you. That's much better. She was in... she's in a lot of like romance movies. Emily in Paris, Mirror Mirror, which is like a fantasy, what's her name? Like Cinderella remake.
Okay.
She was also in The Inheritance, To the Bone, which is based off of a book.
So you said she's like our romance actress, and she's playing Alice?
Yeah, she does romance and horror.
Okay.
I feel like she would do a good job of just being in a frame, looking scary off in the distance. That was my main criteria for her. Maddie, the son, will be Bill Hader.
My God. Is he playing any specific role from SNL?
No, he just kind of looked like him. He has dark hair and is kind of skinny. I could have put him in a role from somebody from SNL, but we're not going to do that because Bill Hader is a really good dramatic actor also. Yeah. But I want him to play more of a comedic role in this one. Why not? And Ray is going to be Fred Armisen.
Oh my God. he's just going to be behind a drum set the whole time.
Yes, he's going to be, but he's also going to be playing like this creep. I think Fred Armisen plays like creepy, awkward people very well.
Yeah. And
I got that vibe from Ray.
Okay.
So he'll kind of be playing the character, but just like bigger.
Yeah, I get you.
Really leaning into the awkwardness.
Absolutely. So this is, okay, who's your director?
Adam McKay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see this. He's responsible for like Anchorman and shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because like he's really known for doing a lot of like, all right, just do what I wrote and then we're going to riff. And that's what he would do for this. And this would not be your mama's Lake Mungo by any means.
No. I mean, Will Ferrell plays a great like suburban dad.
Okay.
Maya Rudolph plays mom very well. She's in what? Isn't she in Bad Moms?
Something I have no idea.
She's in Bridesmaids.
I know she's in Bridesmaids.
I think it could work.
All right. I'll allow it.
It would be better. At any rate.
I think mine is a very what's the word? Appropriate remake. So
what? Mine's not?
No, I'm not saying yours isn't. I'm just saying like mine totally makes sense.
I went with a different tone.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I had a fucking Muppet movie, I think, made out of auditions. So.
Right. There are no rules.
So mine, we're just going to completely rename the film. It's no longer going to be called because it's not going to be set in Australia. Like it's going to be made here in the United States. So it doesn't make sense for me anyhow to just try and make that. So this is I'm going to completely help rewrite the script and everything with director Ari Aster. And this film is going to be called Indian Lake, which is the film this is the lake that we grew up at. Mm-hmm. Right? So
oh boy,
it's just gonna be called Indian Lake. It's not gonna be set at Indian Lake realistically because I don't need that amount of trailers and stuff in our film. But June, our mother, is going to be played by Gillian Anderson. She played Scully in The X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Russell, our father, is going to be played by Matthew McConaughey. Specifically because of his role in True Detective.
Saw that coming
from a mile away. Matthew is going to be played by a younger Kieran Culkin.
Okay.
So I can just see him doing that. Alice is going to be played by Sherilyn Fenn, who played Audrey Horne in Twin Peaks. She's the dark-haired, like sultry kind of younger actress in that film. And then Ray is going to be played by Willem Dafoe. And this is going to be just an oppressively dark film that it's no longer going to lean on its documentary style. I want it to be more of a supernatural kind of thing. And then Ari Aster is really good at that fucking, social family drama. And that's kind of what this film is. It's to me, it just feels like a found footage Ari Aster film. If he were to ever make a documentary style film, I think it would be kind of like this.
I like that. I'd watch it.
Yeah. Indian Lake.
Yeah. I'd watch it for the name alone.
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, I've been there. We're gonna walk down to the Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, just walk that trail all day.
We're just gonna walk around water because we're bored and poor.
I forgot about the Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, it was the only close thing that we could go to.
Yeah, ride our bikes.
Yeah. So, told you about the horror films that came out in 2008. The films that most films would have went up against this year is like The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, Wall-E, Iron Man, Quantum of Solace, Madagascar, Escape to Africa, Mamma Mia, Hancock, Kung Fu Panda, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, and The Dark Knight. I swear, I'm going to have to look. We just did this year recently, I feel.
Yeah.
A lot of these movies are just every time I look at it, I'm like, I swear we just did this.
Can't think of what it was, but yeah, we did very recently.
Which, let's see here. Oh, it was Martyrs. When we did Martyrs, that came out in 2008. So this came out the same year as Martyrs. Wildly different films.
That's for sure.
Realistically, in this, because he did not give any interviews, everybody on set and stuff do not really talk about this. There's not a lot to talk about the making of it. We do have a few, not reviews, but little insights and stuff from the Hollywood Reporter. Megan Lehman noted the film, its compelling, slow build, surreal atmosphere, and restrained soundtrack that works on a primal level and cleaves close to reality. She also praised its fusion of supernatural elements was substantive themes of family and loss, concluding that this ambitious exploration of death and its aftershock will reward more discerning genre fans. So that's I 100% agree with that. This is not for horror fans, right? It's for people that are just looking for something different. And if this film would have come out 10 years later, it would have been picked up by A24. This is straight up this is before every quote unquote artsy horror film or just outside the box horror film was getting picked up by Neon and A24 and all this stuff. This is kind of I would feel say what I said with Mike Flanagan, Jordan Peele. This is those kind of people see this kind of stuff, and you can see where they get influence from this for their films, because it shows them it's hey, we can do whatever the fuck we want, and it's not about how many dollars we make. At the end of the day, it's about art, and that's what they wanted to do. He had this idea, and he wanted to make this, and damn it if he didn't. If this came on TV and you did not know that it was fake, it is as real as can be.
Yeah, like I said, I like that aspect of it. And I think it's really cool that the director doesn't have any interviews out, because then that almost takes away from the realness of it. I don't want to know the making of this.
It makes it feel like an urban legend or something that you shouldn't see. And that adds to like the mystique and the creepiness of it. Is it allows you to fall into it more.
Was there an ad campaign or anything like we've seen for others? It just dropped out essentially.
What it looks like with like its minimal box office is it probably did like a short run at the festivals. A smaller distributor picked it up, probably put it into a couple theaters, and that was about it. And then just got like distribution through like DVDs and Netflix and stuff. And then, you know, it's not going to make any money on Netflix because Netflix doesn't pay really, you know,
right,
for shit like this. It's more like, oh, but you'll get exposure, you know, like that kind of bullshit. Same with like Spotify and all that.
Like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, we got exposure. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but I won all these Grammys and oh, just exposure. Okay.
People need to know about me. Okay, I thought they already did, but it's fine.
Sure. You mean every middle-aged white guy with sunglasses in his pickup truck is going to be bad? Okay, I'm gonna make this. Well, back in my day. Okay, I'm not going to get into all that.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say I liked the halftime show, and I did see something online that is like the new way to kind of, you know, sniff people out is like, did you like the halftime show or not? I'm like, yeah, that's fair. So anyway, enough with that. If you want to hear our hot takes on all that, go ahead and DM us at Blue Sky. Well, Blue Sky doesn't have that, but comment on us. Blue Sky at Pod of the Dead, Instagram, Pod of the Dead, all that stuff. We'll more than gladly take any shade that you want to throw at us. Or, you know, if you agree with us, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I will stand on this. I know I've said it once before on this show. I think it was when we did Green Room. If you see a Nazi, punch a Nazi. All right, that's my PSA for today. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So, Natasha, considering we don't have a lot to talk about before spoiler territory, would you like to get into it?
I would. Yes,
all right.
Please.
So, if this is your first time listening to us, welcome. We are a movie club, so at the end of every episode, we give out homework, and with that homework, you watch it. You come back, you listen to us, you agree with us. Maybe you find out some little insights here and there. Maybe you didn't get to sit down and watch it with somebody, so we get to be those people that you can have the conversation with that maybe you didn't have around you at that time. This gives us a reason to reach out with you guys, and all that's a very open, engaging podcast. So, beyond this point, it is spoiler territory. So if you have not seen Lake Mungo, I believe it is streaming on Freeve and Tubi and stuff like that with ads. I would highly suggest, if you have a chance and haven't seen this, to watch it without ads. Yeah. Because the ads I would feel would remove you from the universe that it's kind of putting you in.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, I watched it with ads and I can attest to that.
Okay. Yeah, I bought the DVD of this secondhand years ago, and
which just adds to the mystique.
Yeah, it's great. So, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. We're gonna dig up some stuff, and we're gonna talk about Lake Mungo.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With all that being said, Natasha, you gave me the 10 out of 10 to read this week. So I have to pocket my Karen voice for today, and I have to read the 10 out of 10. So here we go. A little gem of a movie. Had no idea what to expect from this movie. It's set up more like a documentary with its interviews, video, and still shots. This poor girl drowns and odd things start to happen, which are pretty much explained. But that's not the end of it. Things twist and turn and twist some more right up until the very end, including the credits. This movie drew me into the lives of these people and wouldn't let go. I've seen it twice now, and I have no doubt I'll be watching it again. So that's their 10 out of 10 review on this. And I can get behind, like, it is twisty. You like twists. It is like, this is where you think you're going. Oh wait, there's more. Oh wait, there's more. Oh wait, there's more. I love that about this film.
See, this movie was like a big shrubbery maze where it's twisty and turny, but then you just hit every roadblock and you get lost in a roadblock. It's how I felt. You twist and turn and then it's dead. And then you twist and turn and then it's another dead end. And then you twist and turn and it's yet another dead end.
So do you not feel that this movie resolved itself?
Slightly. In watching it, I don't think it did. I had to drum up the energy to then look at what people wrote about it after the fact.
See, I didn't do that. So it'll be interesting to see what opinions you were able to drum up opposed to my made opinion.
Yeah. And then I also just still have my opinion of what I said at the beginning. So
did you stay awake during it?
I drifted, but I stayed awake. I felt myself go, oh God, here I go. Oh wait, movie's still on. Now,
I will be completely honest. I did not want to watch this when I was going to watch it because I had just ate like a massive Italian sub, and I was like, I got the food sleepies, and I was like, I know the feeling of this film, and I do not want to fall asleep, so I had to like get that over with, and then I came downstairs. I think I had a beer, watch out everybody, and watched it and just kind of like curled up with like my blanket and just kind of like sat in the chase and just like, oh man, it's not raining, but it feels like it's raining. I don't know what it is about this movie. So, dude,
I wouldn't have made it 10 minutes if I was sitting comfortably with a blanket. I purposefully sat on the floor, didn't even sit on furniture.
Sat on a pile of Legos.
I sat on the floor on a blanket, no blanket, and just sat straight up, giving myself the best option.
Oh my God.
And I still doze.
I had Chinese water torture performed on me.
Just to keep focus. Eyelids pinned open.
So this is why you gave me the 10 out of 10, so you could put on your Karen voice and read the 1 out of 10.
Yeah, it was purely subconscious. How we've done this for what, 70 something episodes?
Yep.
And it just happened naturally that I sent you the wrong one.
Yeah, I like looked at it, I was like, oh, I guess you're doing the 1 out of 10 this week.
Which I am totally fine with. So here goes. And I don't even have to be Karen. This is just Natasha reading.
Natasha, aka Karen.
I've heard and read many good things about this movie. After finally watching it, I think those people need to be smacked across the face. This is just a boring, plotting, and awful film. I'm the type who won't quit a movie once I've started it, no matter how bad it is. This one put it to the test. I kept waiting for something, anything to happen. Some reviews on here are saying that it's the greatest horror film of all time. Seriously? It's not in the least bit frightening, disturbing, or creepy. I think those people are masochists who are laughing at your pain after you sit through this dumpster fire of a movie.
Oh my God.
Because they know it's one of the most boring films ever made.
Natasha, I need you to read the 1 out of 10 review. You just went on a tangent there for a second.
I told you that was just pure me. I needed to read that one. I'm so glad I got the chance to.
Was it cathartic?
It was.
To have somebody else voice your same sentiment.
Yeah, they put it in beautiful terms.
Okay. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with, like, this is the greatest horror film of all time. I wouldn't say that by any means. But, all right. Let's kind of get into this, this weaving tale as best we can. because I don't think that the last few episodes we went beat by beat to get through it. There's not a lot like that to do with this. We're just going to kind of openly talk about like how we get through this film. So the film's called Lake Mungo, but that's not where she dies. She dies at this dam. So Alice disappears and drowns at this dam. It's basically like a reservoir that her family is at, and that's what spurs this story of dealing with the loss of the family, the loss of the family member, the what do you call that? Denial of it, second guessing. So it is like when I think it was Mike Flanagan was talking about it being like heartbreaking. It is like to watch, the dad just bury himself in his work, because that's the only thing that can help him through his grief. Even his work partner is like, yeah, I mean, different people, but I am worried about him. The mom is just nonstop expecting her to show up, because when the body's found, like, she does not go to see it and everything. So she doesn't get that closure and everything. So the idea of that alone is super depressing. And this, like, I would consider this like an existential horror film, because it makes you kind of reflect on your own mortality and those around you's mortality. And when things cannot, like, it's one of those things of like, if someone dies in a car accident or whatever, you can understand that, right? But when it's something so abrupt, and then all of these clues of the secret second life, you don't even know the person that you thought you knew, and all this stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I think we recently, maybe it was on the podcast, maybe not, but we recently just talked about how for every person that exists in the world, there's a different version of you, because it's your perception of them. And I think it plays in that really well. And that's where that Twin Peaks thing comes from, because with that, Laura Palmer washes up on the shore. She was like the prom queen and everything, and then you find out that she has this like seedy second life where she's like sleeping with all these people and trying to figure out who killed her or how this happened. You're just finding out all this different stuff about her, and it definitely has that vibe where it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And that's where, like, it makes it more believable to me, because it's not a beat by beat narrative. It's just we're uncovering more and more, to the point where we're literally uncovering stuff. We're literally finding false walls where there's a safe. We're like, she's buried this stuff in the desert at Lake Mungo, which is an actual dried up lake bed in Australia. So yeah, all of that. And as you're saying that, all of that sounds like something that would be so up my alley. Those are the types of books I read. I love the twisty turny, false narrative, or like you can't trust the narrator, or like, I love seeing the different perspectives. And I don't know why it didn't resonate with this movie, but it really, like, yeah, all of that happened. I watched all of that, but it just seemed like it left me wanting more. It didn't have, I don't know if it didn't have the emotion. There was just something, and I can't quite put my finger on it. There was something missing. Okay, that's fair.
Because as you're talking about it, you're giving so much passion to it that I didn't feel in the movie.
But you also have to think of, these people are recounting the worst day of their life, the worst period of their life. So that's what makes it like very real to me. Like, are you saying that like you wanted June to like break down crying and stuff like that?
Not necessarily. No, I don't think giving it more emotion would have now I'm kind of talking myself out of what I just said, but like, I don't think that's what it was, because we had the non-scripted emotion of, say, Paranormal Activity, and that part didn't seem genuine.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that. I wonder if this movie would have been more of the docu-fiction. I really also liked the documentary component. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
There's something here that just doesn't feel right. As if the movie has a second life of its own and it isn't telling you something.
Yet, maybe. Yes, it didn't.
So this movie did not elicit any emotion from you at all? No, like you didn't. And this, I'm only asking these questions because I think it'll drag some stuff out of you. So like,
Please.
you didn't find the movie to be like mysterious?
I did at the beginning, but then it kept going. And so like at the beginning, I liked it with like, okay, the pictures, you see something. I liked that. And then it kept going. And then that got like explained away by Maddie was doing.
So is that where for you it kind of jumps the shark in a way? Like it's just like, oh, okay, I suppose that's what we're doing. But like, do you not find it interesting that the reason Maddie is, or Matt, or however you want to say his name, Matthew, how he's doing this is literally to like help console his mother that just wants something? Like that's so deeply sad as well, that he's willing to put himself through all of this stuff to try and console his family. Like they feel like something's here, so I guess I can do it to make that.
Yeah, to make it. And then because of that, they exhumed the body to get like a real confirmation that it was her. I don't know. There was, and then like with all of that, so that bit was explained away, but then it was the secret life of her and the neighbors.
Yeah, so she's babysitting for the neighbors for a while. Now here's a very troubling thing. We are led to believe that this is a high school student.
Right.
And she is basically having like a threesome with her neighbors that are clearly adults and stuff like that. Right. So that's like, and they don't really like lean into that so much. So I don't know so much. There's different legal ages of consent and stuff like that. They do talk about it seeming like it was going to be consensual and all this. So I don't know how that works everywhere. But it's still super shady, especially that he ends up breaking in to get this tape. The neighbor does. They see him in the video and then they just disappear. They move and fucking like all of that shit. It's like real squirmy. And it just, again, it's that whole other layer of you thought you knew these people. It's nonstop that like all these people that you're around, you don't know them. You don't know anybody. You don't know the people that are close to you, your own daughter, your husband, your wife, your son. Everybody they have secrets. Like there's a quote that it's like Alice had secrets, and even the fact that she had secrets, she kept secret. And that I really like that idea. Now I can understand like it's a slow movie and all this stuff. I get all that. The concept though that they are really hammering home with that is what is terrifying without the supernatural aspect, even like just that groundwork, and then how far it goes into a point where it's almost like dimensional, like different timelines on top of each other near the end of the film. I find fascinating. I don't know if you picked up on that at all or not.
I did, and I've seen movies and I really appreciate that concept, but I've seen it done in a way that resonates better with me. This didn't resonate as well. Like if we're thinking of there's a book called Dark Matter, and I think they've turned it into a series on Apple TV that's the component of it is multiple timelines trying to get to where you're supposed to be. Or Interstellar does that in a sci-fi version. And the sci-fi aspect of it is more captivating to me than this was, I guess.
Okay.
So I did pick up on that, and it was yet another storyline. And I feel like this had a bunch of different storylines. So if we go back to the neighbors, that was, when they showed the picture and, you're supposed to be looking over here to see the movement, but there's also another face. I liked that still because I saw that face the first time around. So then when something extra did happen, that was a little jarring. But they didn't explore that too much more. It was just then they disappeared, and we have no way to figure out anything more about them.
But that's the thing. Like it happened. There's no way for them to explore it. Alice is dead and the neighbors left. So you're just left with this information. Like, what do you do with information when you can't, like, you just have to accept it? This happened.
Right.
Like, why did it happen? Why? What is this the reason she felt sad and everything? And then you find out that's not necessary. Like, this is just me kind of coming up with stuff. Like, maybe it's things like the fact that she knows that she has seen her own death in the future. And maybe she understands that she is not long for this earth. So she's like, fuck it. I'm going to do whatever I fucking want because I'm dead anyway, you know, because she does talk to Ray about that kind of stuff. And when she, like, near the end of the film where she's like talking on tape and talking about going to her mom's bedroom and like crying there and feeling sad and all this stuff, and everyone's leaving and all that, it kind of has that talk to me vibe.
Yeah.
Where, because she is having a parallel existence with her mom at this time, when her mom's talking about, you know, walking into Alice's room and all this stuff. And then the dad has a parallel, and they don't explain it, but at the same time, it's like, I think that it would weaken it if they did explain it, because it's just fucking creepy. It's like, he goes into his daughter's room after she's gone and everything, and she walks in, tells him to get out and all this stuff. We don't know what time this is or what is going on, if this is a dream, if it's not. So that like kind of surreal dream-like logic and stuff for me is always like intriguing. Like, it's kind of like that whole idea of say less, you know. It's just like, what the fuck? And it's like, before you even know what's going on, now we've got something else to deal with. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? Why is all this shit happening? And you feel by the end of the film, it's like, oh, she's come to peace. Her whole thing was she wanted her family to understand what was going on. It's like, no, that's not the case at all, realistically, because she's still there.
Yeah, I don't think she came to peace, which I appreciate that aspect of it. At least that's how I took it, was that she's now still alone and left.
She's at the house now by herself, and the family has moved on, but she still is there. And that's horribly depressing.
I liked that part, if like is the best word. So like the very end, that still of that, like the picture of them as they're moving out and you see her like being left behind. That was done well. Like, I feel like I'm a broken record with this. It just, like, with the interdimensional aspect of it, that, and then it just switches on to something else. I just wish it would have stuck with one storyline. I understand the need for a bunch, but
it wasn't. Like there's too many ideas, not enough time, or like the neighbor component of it was almost like a red herring. It throws in another aspect for you to question of, well, maybe this had something to do with it. Maybe they killed her and it was a secret and that's why they left. And, or maybe she was upset with herself, so then she committed suicide. Like, but I don't, for this movie, there are some movies where it is neat to have a bunch of different perspectives, because then there's so many different talking points. Yeah. But with this, there are, I feel, too many different, very fragmented components of it that, for the documentary style that it took, it watered down the documentary style of it. If this was a narrative movie, that would have been, I feel like that would have been okay, having those different plot points, because you're immersed in the story. But this, you're watching it and seeing, or you're watching it and hearing about it secondhand. See, but that's what I think makes it more real. Because if every plot point was like delved into and every plot point exists to be fulfilled and everything, then it feels very scripted. Because, well, we found this out and we can't, well, that's a locked door basically, because every party involved with it is missing. We only have this tape. Okay, we have to, we came to terms with it. Oh shit, there's still more stuff happening. That to me makes it feel more real. Well, that's my personal opinion, because you're in real life there, you're not getting resolutions for everything.
But as a documentarian, if we're looking at this as a documentary, the documentarian should have left that component out because it didn't serve the story.
but the story is just following this family through the weird shit that has been happening. Like, this is what happened. So I mean, like, so with that concept, then do you believe that they shouldn't have went in so much with Ray and like talked about him like with the radio station and stuff like that, because those are things that matter and everything? But
I think as the whole, Ray matters a lot, especially since Alice went to see him too. Mm-hmm. I think, and he turns out to be, I think he turns out to be a fraud, where there's something to look at with the familial aspect of the mom and the mom's mom and Alice.
Yeah.
There's something to play around with.
Never fully gave each other to their children. Like, I think the grandmother says that.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think the mother aspect of it with Ray, I think those all go together. So I think Ray is a component of the movie that's needed, because he shows he shows that there is some type of supernatural component. He's the fraud in it. He's the one trying to do it for his own gain somehow. There's a weird aspect of him that is never talked about, but there's a lot of him that does make sense in the greater scheme of this telepathic or like medium aspect of
Correct.
it, where he doesn't have it and is portraying that he does, where...
Well, he straight up says, like, when it's like ghosty and stuff, he's like, this is beyond, like, this is not, like, because what he does is he's one of those guys, like, is there someone here with the letter R? Is there, like, and he yes, it's nefarious and stuff like that.
It's a parlor trick.
But, okay, so I'm on both sides of this fence, right? I am not a theist by any means, right? But I do understand that religion brings comfort to some people. No different than some of these people. Now, it's bad when they're, like, pulling the fucking pennies out of old women's pockets to do this stuff or whatever. But the idea of, if it can make someone come to terms and be able to move on with their lives instead of grieving nonstop, I do see there being some sort of like altruistic help that could be there, because it's like that little push that you need to get over. I mean, you'll never get over, but to be able to cope with it, maybe you just need to be told that, there's someone from the past that's going to come back and, help you out and stuff. It's like, oh, that's nice. That's nice to know. Now, that's not going to fucking work for me or anything, because I'm so fucking jaded and everything. I'm like, no, the world's burning. Everything's horrible. But I can see like the reason that Alice and June went there. And I don't think that he was trying to be nefarious or try to fucking wring them out for every penny that's worth. I think he did truly want to help them, and it just got like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? So now he's invested, like, wait, there's something going on here, and I do want to help this family. I just have I have no expertise in this anymore, so that's what I'll help Maddie with, getting video cameras and stuff like that set up. And Maddie, one of the random things that happens is Maddie just goes on tour with him for like 3 days.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
I think the whole reason, that is like the one like scripting part, that it's like, we have to have a reason that this stuff cannot be like fabricated by Matt. Like, yeah, that's the only reason that part happens in my book. But that's my thing with Ray is they also, like, when they do find out like all of her backstory and it's been months later and Ray comes back around, he is again it just seems like a very lonely person that connected with this family. It's like that uncle that's not part of the family that just is part of the family now. It's kind of like that whole thing.
That's a good way to put it. I have a problem with the, like, you mentioned, like, I don't even know how to put into words, like lip service, essentially. Like, he's lying, and then when push comes,
that's the thing. Like, sorry, not to cut you off, but like sometimes I feel like these people, honestly, when you're getting positive like feedback from your stuff, it's buying into your own shit. I don't think you're lying anymore. Is you're like, well, maybe I am special. But go on. Sorry.
I guess we'll never know because they don't delve into Ray that much. God damn it. But as a whole, the medium psychic, like if we're looking at like, oh, something's coming to me. I am so a non-believer in that I see it coming off as a lie. And then he gets caught in his lie when shit hits the fan. Like he's not able to help the way that these people want him to help because that's how he's marketed himself, or the guys that he puts on. At surface level, he's giving comfort, but once they actually need to do the seance or, you know, to get like actual help from him when I'm losing my train of thought, like get actual help from him when stuff is actually happening. And he goes, well, this is new territory for me. It shouldn't be new territory for him if he is who he says he is.
I don't think though that, I don't know. That's interesting. You and I have completely, totally different reads on Ray, even though our opinions on those style of people are the same. You know, they're like snake oil salesmen and stuff like that. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. That's just our opinion. Right. But like that, we both agree on that. But like, I feel the time where it comes off where they caught him in a lie isn't anything with that. It's that he talked to Alice before and he did not divulge that information to them, which I'm on the fence with that too. Not that he's a doctor, but the doctor-patient confidentiality kind of idea of he did not search them out, right? June searched him out. So it's a lot of that stuff. It'd be different if, you know, Alice goes up missing and everything, and then he comes knocking on the door and pretends that he's not, you know, doing like that he never talked to her. But June came and found him. Now, do I think it's like not the best way to go about it? Yeah, I think he should have said something. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know what, because he even says like, I don't know, like I just wanted to help him. I don't think that me telling them that Alice came to see me and she was sad, they already know this stuff. Like it doesn't help anything. It'll pull their focus away from what's going on. I don't know. Like there's so much in this movie that is unanswered, but in my book that's fine because it makes me think about it more. In your book it seems like you're just like, get the fuck out of my kitchen, there's too many of us in the kitchen. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Oh man. But I did read, so like I said, I needed to do a little bit of research because I felt the movie just left so many unanswered questions, so many whys. I read a lot of Reddit. Oh yeah. Analyses on this, and I really liked the interpretation of the, like I said, the mother-daughter aspect of it, where like this is where Ray kind of gets pushed to the side and is seen as the non-person to do this, but then Alice, her storyline, and I'm curious to see if you align with any of what this person said. Okay, let's see. The name is, shit, I had his name on Reddit. Late Shopping 2641's interpretation. On Reddit, okay. On Reddit from 2 years ago. Alrighty. Talks a lot. I'm not going to read it at length, but the synopsis of it is the family. The pictures from the beginning are Alice's mom's side of the family, and they are all telepathic. They have psychic powers, if you will. Those powers then got dropped off, and the grandmother had them but left these abilities to the side. The mother had these powers, which is why she can kind of have some of these dreams of seeing Alice. She knows something is there, but it's not at the forefront because she didn't hone her skill, if you will. If you think of it like as witchcraft, like you have to make the muscle work, and she didn't make the muscle work, where Alice worked at it. That's why there's like the ritual aspect of the phone and the bracelet and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I thought this part was really cool. I read a book where a spirit takes over a person, and then that spirit can only transfer by the person dying and then going into somebody else. But if you're in water, you can drown the spirit with you.
Okay.
So that part was cool. So she at the beginning talks about like she knows something bad's going to happen to her, something like that.
Oh, I love that something bad is going to happen to me, or I think something already has.
Yeah.
That is so fucking scary.
So with that, that's her kind of projecting that she had been told or she had seen something in a timeline. So she knows something is going to happen to her.
Because she's talking about the video on her phone.
Right. That's true.
What she's specifically talking. She saw herself dead. Yes.
So she knows that's going to happen. I guess this component is a little off of that. She ends up either taking on a spirit or just kills herself in the lake, which is why there's or in the reservoir, whatever. So there's no like ripple. There's no struggle. She just offs herself.
Okay.
Because she saw what is going to happen, which is that video. So it's like this telepathic timeline. And then that's when like mom senses her, but doesn't know, but Alice is able to sense all of these timelines.
Okay. I really like that. And it does make sense. Like just kind of like looking back, it's like, I completely buy into that. Yeah. Who was this on Reddit 2 years ago?
This was Late Shopping 2641.
Nice. I do like that. I didn't even think about that with like the telepathic thing with the females in the bloodline. Like I really liked that.
I thought that was really cool. So it doesn't tie up everything, which I don't think this movie you're able to tie up every loose end, but that seemed to be the best through line. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she still though is now it's one of those things. So now she's the spirit in a way because she's there at the house still. She is like all this stuff. So it's the best depiction to me of like being like, this is weird, this is creepy, blah blah blah. I don't know what's going on, but I don't think there's any way that you could know what's going on. And the family doesn't. Ray doesn't. You're one of them. What the fuck is going on? Even the cops are like, yeah, we heard about some shit going on over there, and we kind of, we're trying to find the neighbors, but they're gone, and all this kind of
stuff.
Maybe they got eaten by wallabies. I don't know. Do wallabies eat people?
No, wallabies don't eat people, Nick.
Maybe these ones do, and they were the good wallabies. They killed the pedophiles, or maybe they weren't pedophiles because they're talking about consensuality, and I don't know.
The person that's dead would be the one to give consent, and she's no longer around. So that's
son of a bitch.
Yeah. So they see it as Alice is now she was putting herself and making herself present in hopes that somebody would find her, essentially. But then the family doesn't put two and two together that Alice is there, like seeking them. So now she's just there to linger in the house in hopes that somebody will be able to notice her and like set her free. In a way, how that's supposed to happen, I don't know.
Well, also, it's one of those things where, like, if we're following that line, and there's no way to explain this kind of stuff, right? We're talking about paranormal, afterlife, yada, yada, yada. So nobody's right, nobody's wrong, whatever.
Right.
But it's like, so she's stuck at the house. Why is she stuck at the house if she died in the dam, at the dam? But she did the ritual at Lake Mungo. So couldn't she just follow the family? Or we're also not like told that she's stuck at the house. We just know that they're leaving and she's still there. So that's my own like interpretation of it, which makes it sadder, but maybe she's gonna follow along, who knows, but also why follow along? Because they clearly had every clue she could have possibly given, every breadcrumb she could have possibly given, and she's just like, all right, fine, you guys aren't going to be the people to be able to help me find closure or whatever it is. Well, the thing is too, she saw, like, this is the saddest part to me. while she's alive, she's able to see the timeline in her trance like state where he's like going to the house, all this stuff. He's seeing them move out. So she, in her trance, is at that point where she's looking out the window at the end of the movie. That is her trance state, because she's seeing her mom walking out and she's leaving. They're leaving, all this stuff. So it's so like, that's where it's like, time travel, there's no way to prove any of that because no one's done that kind of stuff, whatever. Right. But that's the kind of stuff that's like really interesting to me, where like, I like that idea of that your dreams or whatever are an actual different reality and kind of stuff. And it plays in that a bit. So like, it's that kind of stuff, and you can't resolve it. Like there's no way you could resolve it, because then it would just seem fake or whatever. And it's because of these unresolved, personally, in a lesser film, it would be very damning. If it doesn't work for you, I can understand why it's damning. For me, it's not. I find it to be more intriguing because it does feel real, because life is not resolved. Life is, and that's kind of what this movie, it just is. This is something that happened and seen. It is the like the essence of a slice of life. This is just some shit that happened, and then they're moving on.
I figured it out.
Okay.
Why this movie doesn't resonate with me. I do like the slice of life where you get plopped in. I don't have a proxy in this movie. I'm watching it as a viewer, so I don't get the emotion. I don't get drawn in because I'm an observer of it, not in it.
Okay, are you ready? This just came to me with that. You're Alice. You're observing no different than she is.
Oh, God damn, when you put it that way. That sounds terrifying.
There's nothing you can do. You're just watching this happen.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
So, yeah.
But I don't like that. I really like that.
Alice is your proxy.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, if that's why you don't like it, that's why I think you would like it.
When you put it that way, yeah. That like gives me sweaty palms.
Oh shit. Yeah, and it's that kind of stuff that like it makes you think, like you're trying to understand what's going on, and like just those little nuggets, like when you're telling me it's like, oh, this telepathic thing and like the lines and stuff, like does that make sense to you? I'm like, whoa, that makes it way more interesting. And then me going like, Alice is your proxy. You're just watching it like the dead girl is. Like, oh fuck, that like it makes you change the way that you think about it. And every single person. Oh my God, every single person watching this film is going to take something different away from it, because everybody's perception of everybody is different, just like everyone's perception of Alice is different. Fuck. It's the same thing. Like it's almost like this Ouroboros snake eating its tail. It's just nonstop, just this thing that's just like every single thing that you think of, it's like, oh, well, it could be this. And then why this? Then why just rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole?
Yeah, this movie is definitely not one to watch alone. This movie is meant to be talked about, because I can appreciate it so much more having these discussions. Because on face value, this movie was...
Yeah, you said it's boring and you didn't like it.
Yeah, I was going to say garbage. And now I feel bad having that as a face value interpretation, because even upon reading it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting, but whatever, it's still not great. But it wasn't until you made that connection of I could be watching this just as Alice and not be able to get my voice heard, and not be able to get like recognition or to be seen. Holy shit, that plays on so many fears. And that's why, like, Interstellar, it's those components of that movie where he is crossing folds of time and can't be seen by, I think it's his daughter, and he's trying everything to get there. That's the part that is terrifying to me in that movie. Yeah,
and this movie, unbeknownst to you, I guess, and unbeknownst to me, I'd never watched this thinking that, because I don't need a proxy necessarily for films, but it seems like for you. So Matthew McConaughey in my version, maybe that would be your proxy.
Oddly enough.
But so I don't know. Like, do you have anything else that you want to like dig into about this, or do you want to kind of get into our ratings of it now that you've really kind of bathed yourself in the waters of the dam? Like.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to discuss without kind of beating a dead horse.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to give it my initial, but I will do a follow-up and give a different answer. I feel like I want to stay true to how we do this.
Yeah.
There for a while we did like our initial and then our...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can give it your score, talk about it, and then give me your post-conversing score. And then you can do your math however you like. You can take the average of the two. You can, whatever. So
I feel very like contemplative right now.
So I'm going to guess your initial take on this movie is like a 3.5.
You are generous.
Oh my God, really?
I know. Like I said, I liked the concept, but nothing else worked for me. I was initially giving it a 2.
Oh my God. Okay, initially you're giving it a 2. That is rough.
But if we're thinking of this movie and I am watching it as Alice in the movie, that gives it so much more emotion to me and gives it so much more meaning instead of watching it as just a viewer of this thing that happened. I watch a lot of
Go ahead.
I watch a lot of true crime and I don't get attached to it, which is why I can fall asleep to Dateline.
Okay.
Because I don't have that attachment, and that's why I need a proxy to feel.
So, okay, I just want to kind of throw my hat in the ring on this a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're going to give it your secondary score, right? What you think after we've talked about it. Now, this is what I'm about to say is not to color your opinion or anything like that. It's to kind of tell you like how my brain works. Mm-hmm. So a 5 and above for me is something that I am willing to watch again. Yeah, maybe to check out again and stuff like that. And I didn't know if that's where you are on your, that's where yours is. Okay. So having talked about it, I think that you're giving it a 5.
And now you're being a little low. I'm giving it a 6.5.
Okay. Holy shit. That is a crazy swing. You're talking about 4.5 points. So are you going to actively watch this like soon again to kind of try? Oh, okay. That's crazy. That is.
I'm going to cleanse my palate a little bit because it's still very fresh, but I would say probably within the next month, I would rewatch it.
Well, come around and I'll give you my DVD copy so you can watch it as it's supposed to be. Now, this was something that drove me fucking nuts. Could not turn the subtitles off on it. Could go into the settings to do that, but it had subtitles the whole time. So I don't know what the fuck that was about. But 6.5, that's high praise.
So the average of those two is a 4.25, which I think
give
is
it whatever
you
give it whatever you want. This is our podcast. We make up the rules as we go along.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, that big swing is there. I really want to watch it again instead of watching it as a documentary, watching it as a film and be the person who is being talked about. I think is a cool way to do it. Because like I said, I can ingest so much terrible shit, true crime wise, but none of it sticks.
Yeah.
Because I see it as something happening to somebody else. For a movie to affect me, I need to feel as though it's happening to me. And I can do that with many, many movies that are linear fiction.
Right on.
I don't get that same as nonfiction.
I expect to hear your second viewing, and I want to see if it works for you thinking of it that way or if it just still doesn't work for you.
Yeah. All right. I think you're giving this... I'm going to say a 6.
I'm giving it a 6.75.
Oh, okay.
The reason it's getting, like, I think I gave it a 6, but the reason I give it like that almost extra point is its execution of feeling like a documentary, like flat out. It's I have seen multiple found footage documentary kind of stuff. None of them has felt this real ever. And that's it's great. The cast fucking acts really well. There's not a single person that I felt phoned it in or was overacting or anything like that.
Right.
They all felt very real. So yeah, 6.75 I think is a very fair rating of this, and IMDb gives it a 6.2, which I think is very fair. Like, especially for like horror, this isn't gonna be for everybody. But it's one of those movies. It might not be for everybody, but I do find it hard to believe that someone would be like, this is garbage. But to each their own, you know?
I don't consider this a horror movie. This is a straight mystery. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that would fall under
it deals with
the
ghosts.
canon. But that doesn't necessarily make it horror.
Yeah, it does. It gives it that horror. Like, it doesn't mean it's pure horror, but we also don't just only cover pure horror films.
Right.
It's horror adjacent. It's a mystery documentary horror film. Uh-oh, what's going on?
I hear the tapping.
Uh-oh. Is Alice trying to talk to you?
Possibly she's coming through my headphones, my Bluetooth.
Oh no, you're Alice.
That's where ghosts travel. They travel via Bluetooth these days.
Well, that's what happened in Pulse.
You're right, exactly. Yeah. Wasn't it? It was through the radio waves.
Is the internet.
Anyway, we're back. We're good.
Okay.
I think it was my phone. It was far away, but it was still on the desk.
Okay, that's all good.
Yeah.
Alice comes a knocking.
Yeah.
So what's that give us for our final score?
That gives this a 57. I'm going to redo my math. That seems low.
No, I don't think so.
Nope. That's what it is.
What
A
is it again?
57.
Yeah, that seems right. Because I mean, 6.75, 6.2, and then you're under 5. It seems right.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I think that's fair. You are more than likely going to like this if you know what you're in for. Like, if you're like, was it in for a penny, in for a pound? You know that it's going to be slow burn. You know it's going to be a documentary. You know it's going to be supernatural. It's going to check all those boxes. So if you know that, I think you're going to be into it.
But I think it's important to not see this as a horror movie.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. I disagree, but that's just because, like, this is, for lack of a better term, this is another trauma porn movie. Deals with it. This, I would throw this on, like, hey, you like Hereditary and you like The Babadook and, you know, shit like that. Check this out. This is like, give yourself into it, be part of the family. You're gonna get the sads.
You're gonna get the sads.
Because that's why I expected you to like this more, because that's your genre, is what I like to refer as trauma porn.
Just sad.
Yeah. But okay.
Anyway.
So you did it, Natasha. You made it through Foreign Film February. How do you feel?
Just like last week or whatever week that was. Accomplished.
Hell yeah.
I did it. I did it, guys. We did it.
So you traveled around the world and you got to see all sorts of stuff, different grades of stuff, you know, but you definitely got some new films in your back pocket to be like, that was a banger, and others maybe not so much. So, and
that's the best part of this podcast is there are movies that I have to watch. I'm invested in it, so I have to check it out. And there are some that I'm better because I've watched it. There are some that I can at least mark it off and add it to the list. And then there are some that are awesome masterpieces. So that's really cool, where no matter what, I get something out of it. It could be something that I absolutely hate, but hey, it's good fodder for a discussion.
Well, yeah. And it also allows you to go, like, you know, the more that you see, the higher your floor gets moved up. It's like, maybe it's not a 1 because I've seen ones. This film over here was a 1. I'll give this a 2. You know, so like talking about, I can check it off my list. My film last night was, I can check it off my list. I watched the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad. And I was literally like, I'm already here. It's less than an hour and a half. Let's get through this. I was like, was this written by AI? This is so fucking bad.
Wow.
If you haven't watched that, Natasha, if you want to see how bad some shit can be, it's got a head smashing scene, so you'll love it.
Oh, great. Cool. See, I only do that for movies I have to watch. Otherwise, I watch movies for enjoyment.
But you enjoy head smashing. So there was something that we didn't even talk about. June was frogging.
She was, and that's the perfect depiction of frogging. And how she was like, I just want to step into somebody else's life. That's the component that is so intriguing to me, is just that I don't want to... Here we go again. I'm on my soapbox about why I want to break into people's houses. I don't want to take anything. I don't want to mess with anything. I just want to see, which is what I like about social media. I can just be and like see people's lives.
You're a voyeur.
Yes. I'll admit it.
Now, are you the one? Are you the one in the cuck chair, just being the voyeur?
It's not to that extreme. But if I'm going on a walk and people have their windows open, I'm going to look.
I'm going to.
I'm not going to walk.
Them
No, I'm not going.
Their ham sandwich.
No. I'm curious. I'm a naturally extremely curious person. And it doesn't go as far as like getting into their property, but like a window's
their house
open.
Is their property.
Who doesn't look through a window? You can cut all of this out.
No.
But I do have.
No, I'm not. This is going on the FBI database. you will be talked about for forever.
but so this is maybe, here we go. You know, it's just you and me. I have this memory, and I don't know if it's a dream I used to have as a kid or if it's something I actually did. But remember when we used to live next to Great Grandma Johnson?
Yes.
I believe they were dreams, but dreams of me walking into Grandma's house while she's not there or asleep, and like going through her refrigerator or just like walking around her house doing nothing.
I straight up think that was not a dream. Because I think you probably did that.
It probably, okay.
I think I can see you doing that, because I remember there being times where like, because it was like great grandma had like an open door policy, right? Yeah. So I remember times like where I thought she was home and I'd walk in and then she's not home. And then it's just like, oh, grandma's got cookies on the counter. I'm gonna snag one of those. So yeah, you weren't dreaming. You fucking did that. That's why you frog. You're looking. You currently frog? Don't answer that.
I do not.
Don't answer that. Now you're on record for lying. You continue to frog because you're reaching out for your childhood.
I must be. Like, there was something about that as a kid that I found, I don't know, exciting, but I never took anything. And I would just, there's something about it that I enjoy. I'm just going to say it. I'm not it's so strange to me. The first time I brought this up, how shocked you were, because to me, it's such a normal feeling that I don't act upon. But it's like those intrusive thoughts of like, what if? Like, I really want to do this, but society says I shouldn't because that's illegal.
What if I live in the walls? Okay. Now that we have all this incriminating evidence on you.
I love exploring whatever that might look like. But don't worry, anyone. I'm not going to break into anybody's house. I'm not going to go through anyone's private stuff.
That's exactly what someone that would do that would say.
It's just something I want to do.
Just want to live in your skin. That's how you sound right now. I want to be you.
Oh, man. Just for a little bit. And then I want to go back to being myself. That's all.
God. So creepy. You're so scary.
And you lived with this for 18 years and you had no idea.
I know, because you were a fucking frog in my bedroom. I apologize for all the things you saw.
I mean, that's just typical little sister stuff. Let's be real. What younger sibling doesn't go through their older sibling stuff?
Whoa, you went through my shit? Oh my God, we're going to have a discussion about this.
I'm sure I did. I don't remember any of it. I'm sure I did.
Oh my God, we can talk about this offline. So
anyway,
so homework. First stop for.
I was ready to sign off.
Oh no, we're still recording.
Fuck.
Yeah, this is going on the episode.
Still an important part. Okay.
First stop on No Nick Pick March is we will be covering 2024's The Substance with Demi Moore.
Whoop whoop.
So Natasha has decided that this is where we're starting our journey through the month of March, that she wants to see these films or has seen these films, and I got no say. She basically gave me a big pile of movies, and then I had to curate from that. So this is where we're starting.
Yep, I think this is one that still has a paywall, but
I know that Mubi, MUBI, is the company that has the rights for it. They have a streaming service, and you can actually get it for 7 days free. Some things I've seen 3 months for $1, some shit like that. So minimal paywall if you want. So
awesome.
This movie's been getting a lot of buzz and everything. I think it's a nominee for Film of the Year, even. So this will be interesting. I actually have kept myself from watching this specifically because I knew we would cover it at some point this year on the podcast. It was just a lot sooner than I thought because you were just like, I want to cover this. It's like, bet, we'll do this. So The Substance with Demi Moore, 2024, next up on the list. For Pot of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
And I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.